Hey everybody, welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. In this video, we're doing another rendition of anime vocabulary, and the anime that we're going to be covering today is Mobile Suit Gundam, Iron-Blooded Orphans, or otherwise titled Kiro Senshi Gundam Tekketsu no Orphans. And so what we're going to do, as usual, is we're going to cover 5 vocabulary terms that are used in the actual episode, and the vocabulary terms that we have for this episode are: number 1, shoukai to mean patrolling. Number 2, houkoku to mean report or information. Number 3, seizei to mean at the most, as much as possible, or to the utmost. Number 4, so in to mean all members or all hands or the entire strength of something. And last but not least, number 5, to kan, which is going to translate to basically charge or a kind of rushing at the enemy battle cry. Okay, so with our full list vocally listed out, now let's just jump into the examples or the lines from the episode that they're actually used in. So we'll start with actually number 1 and 2 because they are used in the same line. So like I just said, shoukai is going to mean patrolling and houkoku is going to be report or information, and these two words are used in the line Shoukaijyuu no Man Rodi yori houkoku, and this is a very simple line that just translates to report from Man Rodi on patrol.
紹介中のマンドディより報告。接近する敵モビルスーツを発見しました。
We do have another sentence right after that, and it's just there to give some more contextual information if you need it. We're not going to actually break that down, so we're going to break down just the first line. And so the first word that we have is our first vocabulary word, but it has a suffix right after it, and that is the suffix Ju. And this is going to be a suffix that is usually attached to nouns that represent activities or events or things that last a particular duration. So when we add it to that word, the Ju is going to give the nuance of in the middle of that activity or event or thing that takes time. So if we have our first vocabulary word here, which is shoukai, and it's going to mean patrolling, then Shoukaijyuu is going to be in the middle of patrolling. And so that's what Shoukaijyuu is going to stand for, and it is actually being used in a noun of a noun modification here. That is a grammar pattern that we've covered before. So it's the first noun in that grammar pattern. It's followed by the particle no. This is familiar territory for us if we watch the grammar lessons covering it. And for our second noun in the noun of a noun modification is going to be Man Rodi, and this is just going to be the name of basically the person on patrol, so there's no definition to this, it's just a name. So combined we have Shoukaijyuu no Man Rodi, and this is going to be basically Man Rodi of in the middle of patrol. More naturally, we'll turn that to just Man Rodi on patrol. Right after Man Rodi, we have the particle yori, and this is going to translate to from. And then right after that, we have our second vocabulary word, which is houkoku, and this is going to mean report or information. So this whole line here, if we combine it all together, we have once again Shoukaijyuu no Man Rodi yori houkoku, and this is going to mean report or information from Man Rodi on patrol, or report from Man Rodi who is in the middle of patrol, something along those lines.
紹介中のマンドディより報告。接近する敵モビルスーツを発見しました。
For our next and third vocabulary word, we have the adverb seizei, and this is going to translate to, once again, at the most, as much as possible, or to the utmost. Let's look at the line that it's actually used in the episode, and this time, again, we have 2 sentences that's part of one line. Seizei is only used in one of the sentences, but we'll cover both of them this time because the one that it's used in is particularly short and may not be enough to give context. So our line is, Sekkou ga kite te koto wa donomichi atoからやってくる。それまでせいぜいかわいがってやれ。
接候が来たってことはどの道後からやってくる。それまでせいぜいかわいがってやれ。
And what this line is going to translate to is, if the scouts are here, that means they'll come following in afterwards anyhow. Until then, show them a damn good time. So we're going to break down the first sentence first, and it's not going to have the vocabulary word that we're covering here, but we're going to need it for context basically. So the first word to show up is seko, and this is going to translate to basically scouts. We have the ga marking the scouts as the subject of the sentence. We have kita, which is the plain past form of the verb kuru, which means to come, so came. Right after that, we have the small su followed by te. And what this will basically represent is that everything preceding it is kind of a train of thought or an idea. We get a better feel of that when we look right after it and we see the word koto, which is just going to basically mean thing. Perhaps more appropriately, it'll translate to matter or fact here. So far we have sekkou ga kite te koto, and this is basically going to be the fact that the scouts have come, or the fact that the scouts are here. Now we're going to follow that with the particle wa to mark that whole thing right there as the topic of the sentence. So in regard to the fact that the scouts are here, donomichi ato kara yatte kuru. And so first up we have donomichi, and this is going to translate to any way or anyhow or at any rate. Right after that we have the word ato, which is going to translate to traces basically, and we have the particle kara right after that to mean from, and then we have yatte kuru, and this is going to translate to come along or to come around or to turn up. So it's going to translate to basically to come along from their traces, the traces of the scouts, which is to be interpreted as the main party will follow afterwards in the tracks of the scouts. So let's reread that first sentence once more. Sekkou ga kiteってことはどの道後からやってくる. And this is going to translate to if the scouts are here, then that means they'll come following in afterwards at any rate. And now we move on to the second sentence, which has our vocabulary word here, seizei. And so the second sentence starts off with soremade, and this is going to translate to until then. Then we have a vocabulary word, seizei, which is going to translate to at the most, as much as possible, or to the utmost. So this is going to be an adverb that's going to be modifying the word that shows up right after it, which is going to be kawaigatte yare. And so kawaigatte is going to be the te form of the word kawaigaru, and this is going to mean to love or to be affectionate with, and it's in its te form here so that the word yaru can follow after it. Yare here is going to be a giving verb here, which is a topic in and of itself, so if you're confused about that, consider looking up the dynamic of giving and receiving verbs. So if we combine this whole second sentence all together, we have soremade seizei kawaigatte yare, and this is going to translate to until then, show them a damn good time. And we had kawaigaru to translate to be to love or to be affectionate. Here it's being used in a kind of not so literally to love somebody, but to show them some love in a very violent way. And seeing as how that's kind of complicated to word, we are gonna more naturally turn that into show them a damn good time.
接候が来たってことはどの道後からやってくる。それまでせいぜい可愛がってやれ。
For our next vocabulary word, we have soin, and this is going to translate to all members or all hands or the entire strength. The context here is, of course, since we're talking about Gundam, it's going to be talking about all the members on the ship, so the whole crew basically. And so for our line in the episode that uses this vocabulary word, we simply have Aisa, soin taishoku yoi. And what this line will translate to is basically, I, sir, all crew prepare for impact.
Aisa, soin taishoku yoi.
Let's break down the line bit by bit. First up, we just have the utterance Aisa, and this is just going to be the katakana version of English, I, sir, without the second I. Now we move on, and we have our vocabulary word that shows up here. So soin is going to translate to all hands. In this case, we'll just turn it into all crew since we're talking about ships in space. Right after that, we have taishoku, and this is going to be the word shock, the English word shock in its katakana version, and we have the tai right before it to kind of mean to the shock or against the shock. And then that will make more sense right after we finish the sentence with the last word, which is yoi, which is going to be prepare or preparation. So this will naturally translate to all crew prepare for impact or prepare for shock. And once again, that is soin taishoku yoi. Very simple.
Aisa, soin taishoku yoi.
For our last vocabulary word, we have an even simpler word and line, because the line itself is just the vocabulary word itself, and that is going to be tokkan.
Tokkan!
And this is gonna just translate to charge, and it's something that someone just basically the captain of the ship is going to be yelling as the crew members on the ship are charging against their enemies.
Tokkan!
And so with that, we have covered 5 vocabulary words from the 12th episode of Kiro Senshi Gundam Tekketsu no Orphans. And so hopefully you learned a couple of new words and enjoyed a very good episode of anime while you were doing that.